And we are live, and it's 7 o'clock, or just a few seconds before. Welcome to a live episode of Homeopathic Voices from Around the World with me, Atik Ahmad Bhatti. And in case you didn't know, Homeopathic Voices is the companion series to the Homeopathy Health Show, which broadcasts on the UK Health Radio Network and across all the podcast platforms. And we have a whopping over 240. It's actually nearly 245,000 listeners now. So, hey, things aren't going too bad. But today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Ilana Dannheiser and Grazia Gatti from the UK. They are actually teachers who have founded the course, which is called the Advanced Clinical Training in Homeopathy course. It's also short for ACT Homeopathy, which is genius. And I'm joined by them. They're on the screen. Ilana, welcome. Grazia, welcome.
Very nice to be with you tonight.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you. Now, we're going to talk about the course, which is the Advanced Clinical Training in Homeopathy, which is very much to do with the Joshi's MAP system. So those of you who are aware of the work of Doctors Bhavisha and Shachindra Joshi will be aware of how they've mapped bird remedies or mammal remedies to Dr. Jan Scholten's periodic table of elements. And we're going to talk all about this course. But first, I would ask you both to just introduce yourselves to those listening in.
So I'm Ilana Dannheiser. I'm living in South London and practicing here for nearly 30 years now. I trained in classical homeopathy, and then I became interested in the early 2000s in this work of sensation homeopaths, the Mumbai homeopaths, and I've been following that. And then eventually the Joshi's system been incorporated into that as well.
Wonderful.
And I'm Grazia Gatti, and although I'm Italian, I've lived in London a long time. I'm in East London, and I'm in practice since the year 2000. I met the Joshi's work around 2009, and they really revolutionized my practice. So it was then a step from there. I mean, about 5 years after that, we opened up this course, the ACT Homeopathy course, with a name of spreading the Joshi's mapping system, but especially with a name of making it available to people and support people to practice with this method. So making it available to apply in practice. And that is the main aim of the course.
You know, it's interesting because, as you know, because of the radio show and podcast that I do, I speak to all the homeopaths and non-homeopaths around the world. You know, you're talking upwards of at least 100 different individuals on a month, you know, because it's just the way things are and the dynamics. And we talk about all the modalities, and we talk about the different programs and courses that are available. And it's absolutely brilliant, number one, okay, because that's the way homeopathy is going to continue to grow and actually continue to progress. Progress is part of people taking an interest in homeopathy. That's also progress. But it's interesting, isn't it, that with the periodic table, I know I've come across people who said, oh my God, it's so complicated, but actually it's not if you break it down into chunks. And that can be the rows or the columns or the actual gases themselves. Let's just start right at the back, or right at the top, should I say, with the noble gases and work backwards. However, anyway, but it's a process of understanding, and the same is with the Joshi's map system, isn't it? It's imprinted on top of whatever is there, that foundation, and I'm quite sure that with the course that you've developed, it will make it very, very easy, correct, for postgraduates to actually understand the real concept and then be able to move forward and then let their creativity flow as such.
Absolutely. And the point is that what the Joshis understood for their own practice and their own clinic was that the periodic table was a template for the other kingdoms. So the evolutionary pattern that you see in the periodic table can be translated to the animal kingdom. And they've mapped not only the birds and the mammals, but the reptiles as well and the insects as well. And they're also working on the plants in that same regard. So they see the periodic table as the foundation. And when we teach the course, we start from a very clear point of understanding of one part of the periodic table, which people know very, very well, which is a lot of the remedies in the row 3 of the periodic table. We all know sulfur and phosphorus and natmur and etc. And we build from there so that people can get a good understanding of, first of all, the periodic table and what that means, and then how we translate that into the other kingdoms. That's a very important part of the course.
I also think that there's a parallel in that. So that is how we explain the content of the method and what the concepts of the method are, as you said, Atik, based on the periodic table, which is a very clear blueprint really for the universe. But a similar thing needs to be done about how to develop clinical skills, how to develop the application of these concepts when we are sitting in front of the patient. How do we carry on our case taking? That includes a whole host of skills and a whole host of, in fact, a way of thinking. This is what we're trying to train people to have, to practice a way of thinking and understanding both these concepts, but these concepts as applied to the person you have in front of you and as applied to the remedies that you're going to choose, and try to form that understanding of the person that is in front of you as you understand the remedies that you want to prescribe.
It's wonderful, isn't it? The work that Dr. Jan Scholten has done, and he's been on the Homeopathy Health Show a couple of times now, so please do just go to any podcast platform and look for the Homeopathy Health Show. And we've spoken about the periodic table, and actually Jeremy Sher has also been on a few times, and he's also spoken to me about, in one of the episodes, about the noble gases and the periodic table itself, and because Jeremy Sher's been involved with the provings of the gases. And it's fascinating, isn't it, what can be accomplished from that template. So we're moving from the work of Dr. Jan Scholten, but we're moving up now. And I remember when Doctors Bhavisha and Shachindra were on the Homeopathy Health Show talking about the MAP system, and there was a picture that they shared with me, and it was Bhavisha. She was sitting down on the floor, cross-legged, and there were just papers everywhere. I'm sure you've seen that, and paper. And you know what that gave me? That gave me that inspiration that, wow, this is commitment to healing, right? This is something unique, because somebody can spend, and there's a lot of modalities and others are doing it too. But as far as the Joshi's MAP system is concerned, as far as your course is concerned, which utilizes that, it's so fascinating, isn't it, to see the amount of work. It's so inspiring, should I say, not fascinating, to see that work that's actually gone into this. And it's not just work that's gone into it, it's proven itself because people are successfully using the remedies, right, according to the need of the patient, which, Grazia, you've so nicely said. So for those who are interested, I mean, what's the course broken down into? How do you approach it?
So we approach it, first of all, by understanding the kingdoms, what that means. How do you understand the difference between an animal remedy or a person who needs an animal remedy, plant and mineral? And then we look at the periodic table in the rows, because the rows are actually the template for the larger picture for all the other kingdoms, because they exhibit what we would call not just the row of the periodic table, but already a level, what we call level of human development. So somebody who has certain traits that you can consider to row 3, you would then see that those same traits in the animal kingdom as well, but in a different way. So we then translate from the periodic table to the other kingdoms by that system. That's what the MAP system is. It's basically understanding those rows, but that you can apply those rows to any kingdom. So we have to work systematically through that.
Brilliant.
But at the same time, it's really lovely because these two things go in parallel, and Ilana and I are speaking in parallel here. At the same time, then we look at all the skills that you need in the consulting room, in the case taking, to apply this understanding and to inquire with the patient. What kind of questions will you ask to further your understanding of the patient and being able to relate that understanding to your understanding of the remedies. So it's really, the course is really carefully constructed so that we can build these skills one at a time and build on them with things that we can send the participants away to practice in their practice with their own patients, time after each session, so that then when we come back, we can look at casework and we can look at study cases, trying to see what is the role that the practitioner is playing in eliciting the information and in eliciting the understanding, and clearly make people as able as possible to hold this way of reasoning in their minds while they are sitting with a patient, so that also the case taking is effective and is taking us where we need to go.
And yeah.
I would just add that the course is really based on the cases, so a series of cases. And the cases are the jumping off point, both for the understanding of the theoretical concepts, but also for how to analyze, and also for how to look at the questioning, to look at what are the effective questioning in those cases. So we use those cases from both sides, not just from the how do you get to the remedy, because that's what everybody wants to know, but what's the remedy? But sometimes we actually tell them, this is the remedy. Now you have to understand, how did they get to that remedy? And what was the process that was involved? And so we draw from that and then take it into those skills, as Grazia was saying, take it into understanding what those skills are. And all of the work in the course is activity-based. We're not there to lecture. We're there to provide the opportunities for people to work together, talk with each other, thrash it out, work it out, and then build their own understanding.
Wonderful. And how many remedies do you generally cover? How many does the course, is there a fixed number as an introduction perhaps, or is it just whatever is needed, I guess, because you can't really put a number on it. I don't know, I'm asking.
That's a great question.
Yeah, we actually cover 18 cases in the 10 days of the course. We cover 18 cases, and that means 18 remedies. But really, those 18 remedies are just examples, because they build the kind of the reference points of the periodic table of the system. They give examples around which you can build all the rest of your knowledge that you will come across through going to seminars, through reading provings. But the important thing is to have the framework so that any new knowledge, you know where to place and how to use.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're talking about, I don't know, let's just take bird remedies, yes? It's interesting, isn't it? Because when you learn about remedies which derive from, birds themselves as a species, then you see animals in a different light, isn't it? It's totally different, isn't it? Because there's so much respect and understanding. So I don't know if you saw David Attenborough and you love programs with the big five cats, which, hey, I do as well, because I can't get enough of it. But it's so nice, isn't it? And then understanding, the aspects of a tiger, my favorite mammal, by the way, just in case you're asking, or a lion, and it just gives you a total different dimension, isn't it? And the respect that you get on this, because it's not just a living big cat. It's a living big cat, which actually gives somebody healing benefits, right? Isn't that just amazing?
It is amazing. And what's more amazing is to recognize some of those characteristics in the human expression of your patient. That's also incredible.
Yeah,
that's just a whole other dimension, which we kind of take for granted now. But when you stop to think about it, it's like, why should your patient need a tiger remedy? Why should your patient need the lion remedy? But more and more we're prescribing these because we can understand the human expression of these coming through and where the conflict is, etc. Why is it healing?
The grumpy bear comes to mind.
And in a sense, you can also think that these creatures are an expression of a certain kind of energy. And we are looking in homeopathy, we are looking for the similar. So you're going to look for a similar pattern of, of energy in your patients. And that is a parallel understanding. As you understand the remedies, you understand your patients.
So the course you said was 10 days, is that right?
Yes, it's originally when we first started, we were seeing people face to face, and we would do it a full day, 10 full days. Sometimes they would be together in a weekend. Then we had to move online, and we couldn't really deliver. We didn't want to deliver a whole day online. That didn't work. So we have set up a system now, which we're still doing online because we can reach far more people that way, of 2 half days. So we would meet 2 afternoons back to back, Friday and Saturday, 10 times through a period between November and July. That's the current structure of the course.
Wonderful. And I was going to ask you, I mean, is there, as far as meeting up, where do you meet up? Do you meet up in London or in the UK? Is there a place you...
So,
well, it would be the UK, wouldn't it? Because you're
yeah, it
based
would
in
be
the
the
UK.
UK.
Duh.
As far as the course goes now, sadly, we don't meet up anymore.
Hmm.
However, we came from and moved back into a study group, which was already working along those lines. This is how the idea started, was from this study group. So people who finish the course have the opportunity to come back into this study group where we can continue to share cases, work on the concepts, share each other's cases, help each other out. And it's become a community of practitioners. So, and that still is, that's hybrid. So it can be in London, but also online. And we have people in Scotland, Ireland, Germany, and it's so anything is possible.
Hey, what about Italy?
We don't have anybody in Italy apart from me, but I live in London. Yeah, we haven't expanded to Italy yet. I know the Joshis do have a regular seminar and a group of homeopaths that they work with in Italy, but we haven't quite linked up yet.
You know, it's it's really interesting, I find, with the hybrid model, or even just pure online, because what I've seen personally, and this doesn't mean it's the right way, I'm just saying from my experience, I find students are more likely to ask questions online that they would not ask in person for fear of embarrassment, for whatever reason, you know. And they're just more open because they're in comfortable surroundings and they feel that they are able to express. There's a lot of benefits with online. I know people say online versus offline, online versus, you know, physically meet up and hybrid system, etc. But a lot of the schools and colleges in the UK who practice who teach homeopathy, should I say, are using this hybrid model with phenomenal success. Or should I say, it's not just limited to the UK, internationally now. Post pandemic era, things have changed and people are very comfortable and happy to do that. In fact, I mean, this is not related to this conversation, but certainly, even if I was to mention to a patient sometimes that I can see you online, it's like, oh, this is brilliant. You know, they really, because they don't have to travel, there's no cost, that cost of travel involved, the stress, leaving 1 hour extra, sometimes 2 hours, because they're coming from all over the place, you know. It makes life so easy, and it actually improves, I think personally, that the quality of time that you're given and you're spending, right?
Well, especially because part of the course, a big part of our course is having people work together. So even on the online, it can still work because they go into breakout rooms a lot. And so they have a chance to work with each other. They talk, they discuss, they form a very close group, a very good working group. Sorry, Grazia, you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I was going to say similar things. And for us, one of the concerns for us was always to create and build a community, a learning community, first of all, during the course, but then a working community of colleagues after the course that come together in the forum. And that is a fundamental way of supporting each other and keep learning. And this is, we discovered, completely possible online too, as well as in person.
It's wonderful. For those listening in, or those certainly who will listen afterwards, it's good, isn't it? Even a live actually now means you stream it back later. But hey, that's great. It's what would we do? I've got a I was cleaning out the clinic the other day, just renovating bits and bobs, and I have a video cassette recorder, and I have video VHS tapes as well, even some Betamax tapes as well, and I have just tape recorders as well. That's how old I am. But anyway, I'm totally off tangent. I didn't even know why I started that conversation. But what I was going to say was, if you're interested in ACT Homeopathy, so the Advanced Clinical Training in Homeopathy course, they do now have an Instagram account, and that is ACT _homeopathy. So it's homeopathy without the extra O. So do follow them. And if people are interested, students, postgraduates, how do they get in touch?
Well, we have a website, and we have the website is acthomeopathy.co.uk, and there is a fantastic button to contact us and send us an email through that. And that would be the best way. There's all information about the course, there's testimonials, there's the dates for the course, the fees. And so just please feel free, get in touch. The next course starts in November and will take us through to July, as Ilana said. Get in touch, ask questions, we can arrange a chat, and we're very open to all of that.
Brilliant. It's been a real pleasure talking to both of you, and I would very much welcome you back in maybe December time, and we can talk about how it's going actually, and what you've covered. And but until then, Ilana, Dannheiser, and Grazia Gatti, thank you so much. And I hope that this course progresses in leaps and bounds.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to talk.
Absolutely.